entertainment for the next little bit here. Here he comes. Yay.
Hey, everybody.
So some of you may know me. Irene Howard. I've been here 16 years in February, so I'm getting ahead of myself. And I get to work with this lovely person who joined us, Adam Jimenez. Let him introduce himself.
Hi, Adam Jimenez, Agency Services Representative for the Northern Region. I'm in my 4th full year with the East Texas Food Bank, going on 5th if you count my temp time, but I'm really happy to be here. You guys have submitted some great questions. I do want to give a brief disclaimer. We can only really answer these from the perspective of agency services. First off, that is actually one of the questions that we'll be discussing here in a minute. So everything will be relevant to our department and strictly pantry services. Beyond that, I think we're ready to go if you are.
Yeah, I just wanted to kind of share with you one of my favorite quotes, especially since I've been here at the food bank. We tell this in our agency orientation, and we kind of let our pantries know when they get clients in. Sometimes we have wonderful, clients and patrons that come in, and others seem to be sometimes difficult. So one of my favorite things is no significant learning occurs without a significant relationship. And it's by Dr. James Comer. I'm going to get Adam to put it in the chat, and I will start. So we had surveyed y'all, our agencies, asking if you would send us any questions that you would like answers to. And obviously lately, a whole lot of you have a whole lot of the same questions. So that made it easy. And we're going to try our best to answer some of those questions for you today so that you understand what's going on and you're not in the dark. It's kind of hard. I know when something happens and you call the food bank, sometimes people are in a panic and they want to know what's going on. Sometimes we don't even know what's going on until you've alerted us that there's a problem. So we appreciate y'all for that. We appreciate your patience with us. And, I wanted to tell you that we are your biggest advocate. Trust me when I say that. This department is all about the pantry, soup kitchens, all about our agencies. We're your biggest advocate. We truly mean it when we say we want to answer your questions to the best of our ability and to the best of our knowledge. So we're going to jump in, answer some questions. Obviously, we might have missed something, but you're welcome to put your questions in the chat. We're going to put up information for you about our personal emails, myself and Adam. We're going to put up a couple more people at the food bank so that if you have questions about that. So anything else before we jump into our questions?
Just one thing to keep in mind, we did get in a lot of responses. So for questions that were similar or asking almost the same thing, we're not going to address each individual question. We got a lot of questions about variety, for instance. So we'll read the one, but we'll give an answer in order to try and cover every individual question that we have received on that subject. So just keep that in mind moving forward. You may not hear your exact question, but we have seen it and we're going to do our best to address. So yeah, if you're ready, I am.
All right, if y'all are ready. So one of the questions is, why are things so siloed? Again, the question is, why are things so siloed? And we know that our partners are involved in multi-programs through us here at the food bank. And it seems like a contact for every program. So for example, we have senior box, we have retail store, and we have people who are over those programs. So we don't know all the procedures, policies, and regulations of their programs. So it'd be too difficult and too risky to expect one of us to have in-depth information about all those programs. You're always going to get the most accurate answer and most direct assistance from that department, whether it be senior box, agency services, or child hunger,
Mhm.
if you're missing a backpack order, or retail store, if there's a problem with that. But don't mishear me. We are your advocate. We are your first point of contact if anything's going on at your agency or your pantry, and we are able to direct you to the most
Yeah, to the most suited individual. And yeah,
answer.
don't hesitate to reach out to us with any questions. Even if it's something that we aren't particularly involved in, we will direct you to the person who can help you the best. And it really does. It boils down to there's such a wide rift between the various policies, regulations, and procedures for each individual program that, I mean, we don't want to tell you the wrong thing about child hunger or senior box when our specialization and our area of interest is strictly agency services and pantry relations.
Amen. That's the only thing I'm interested in.
Yeah, so you'll always get a more accurate answer from the person in the department of the specific program you're participating in.
But just remember, we're your advocate, so we're here for you. Adam?
Okay, so next one here, can you help us find grants and grant opportunities? So actually, yeah, in the first session, Jonathan here with the food bank, or Mr. Benedetti, went into good grant writing skills. He always goes over a grant writing 101 session. So if you missed out on that, we are recording all of these breakout sessions. You'll be able to watch that again once they are released. In the meantime, we will put down in the chat his contact information or his email so you can reach out to him if you need help looking into any grant opportunities or you need help with grant writing specifically. I believe United Way, yes, also has a library of donors and grant opportunities. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So yeah, if you'll reach out to your local United Way office, they tend to have one in every major city and at least one per county. So yeah, if you'd reach out to them, that is a great resource for grant writing and grant opportunities.
So the next question, when can we apply for a grant through East Texas Food Bank? It's a very good question. And those of you who've already applied and already been a recipient, you know that it works. So the answer is, it kind of started a few years ago in May, kind of went to June, went to July. So we don't ever know until the year of. And you can probably guesstimate a good time that we're going to send an email out to everyone letting you know that there's a grant opportunity is probably going to be May to July. That's usually about that time. So as Adam said earlier, if you're a United Way member, you can use their library for free to research where to write for a grant.
Oh, one other non-ETFB resource on that. Walmart every year through the Walmart Foundation runs grant writing opportunities through everyone's local Walmart store. So you're able to write to whichever store is the closest for you. I believe the limit is $2,000. And you can write for that once per year. You can be awarded, or sorry, you can write for it an unlimited number of times per year, but you can only be awarded once. So always keep that in mind. If you miss out with them, just try again the next month. I believe they run February through November. So yeah, great opportunities if you're just looking for a little bit of extra padding on your budget, or maybe some small project that you're wanting to accomplish. When we're out of season, that's also always an option.
It's very good. The other option is Lowe's, Home Depot, also Sam's. We've had plenty of agencies who've written in and gotten shelving. So you just might keep a folder on grants and know that you can apply to any of those other resources. Also, you can apply to us every year. There's no rule yet saying that you can only apply one time. You can apply to us every year. And if you reach out to Adam or myself or Charles, if you're in his area, and have any questions, we could help you fine tune your grant coming in, kind of tell you things that you need to include so that your grant is viewed and they are scored.
Mhm.
And Adam and I are lucky enough to be on the committee that gets to give our input towards the agency. So that's always a good thing.
Yeah, at the very least, they let us do some advocacy, which is what we try and be here for.
Yeah, imagine that. So we're able to say things like, I just went to that pantry and I noticed two of their freezers were broke and they asked for refrigeration. So it's very helpful when Adam and I come and monitor once a year for you to let us know what's going on with you. Then we know kind of your story. And when you put in your grant, we're able to say, they really do need this, or they would do client choice if they had this. So I recommend everybody apply for the grant every year. This was our biggest year ever.
I think we had 38 applicants get in on time, plus a handful that came in after the cutoff date. So yeah, traditionally, I think we have 15 to 20 applicants, but yeah, this was our biggest year yet. So yeah, please, please, please. I mean, we love seeing all of these different programs and all these different projects. And even if you don't get even if you don't get approved, just the fact that we know that you're looking into these things in our off time or downtime, and when we have the chance, we do look into other options, ways to fund these programs. We don't always find something available, but at the very least, we have the opportunity to do so. So please, 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 whether you think you'll get approved or not, send in those grant applications.
Exactly. We've been fortunate since they approved this program on the board to let agency services have this money to fulfill grants to build. How many new facilities have we built? Several just since this started. That's huge. So this is an infrastructure and capacity grant. And it's basically saying you're asking for something like, we need a new building, we're out of space, and it's up to $10,000, which means it's a matching grant, this particular infrastructure and capacity grant. So you can ask for up to $10,000, no more than half of your project.
No more than half of the total project budget. So if your total project is going to be $19,500, don't ask for that 10,000, because unfortunately that is over 50% of your total. But just keep in mind that, and also keep in mind when those applications come up, we want to see, how is this going to affect your clients? How's this going to affect your numbers? Is this going to up your amount of product leaving through the door? And again, is this going to significantly impact your organization and your volunteers? Is this going to help longevity? Is this going to help quality of life for the people that are on the ground making all of this happen? So please, please, please give us as much detail as you can when you write those. It really does help.
We see some of your faces out there, and I know I can count several people who've already gotten transportation money for transportation grants, which is huge. If you didn't have a van or you didn't have a trailer and now you get one, and something in return that you could do to increase capacity is, say you're going to make deliveries. You're going to not only pick up your food, but you're going to be able to make deliveries to housing authorities, etc. So Adam and I are good coaches when it comes time to ask for money. I think we both toss it around back and forth, and we could help you ask for the right things to hopefully get approved to get the money. And I know I've gone out and monitored a few times this year, and I've heard a few pantries say, well, we didn't get it, and they don't apply again. Well, you're sure not going to get it if you don't apply. That's what I can tell you. So if you're interested and you need something, at the very least, give us a call and ask us if that's something that qualifies to get you grant money. We love giving it out. Nothing makes us happier than to see the list of all the people who got approved and what all they're going to get from applying for that grant.
I will say this, the only thing that would make us happier is to see more people get approved.
Exactly, to see more money. Anybody have a problem with that? Who doesn't want to see more money in some sort of fashion, to go towards the pantry? So,
all right. Okay, yeah, we're hitting 11:50, so let's move on to the next question here. Okay, yeah, no, this is a great question, and one that a lot of people have chimed in with. Why are food prices so high, and why are certain items being or why are food prices so high when certain food items can be purchased at Walmart, Super One, Brookshire's for a lower price? So there are a lot of factors that go into this. Just to kind of start out, ever since the start of the pandemic, food prices have been steadily rising for a variety of reasons. Less and lowered manufacturing and production levels, breakdown in the global supply chain, drought, weather conditions causing poor yields, poor cattle yields, etc. This is all culminated in sort of a climate where we have been unable to find purchase loads of meat specifically for a reasonable or sustainable price for our pantry partners. Now, to give a little more detail on this, because I know you have all seen those whole chickens on the shopping list for $106. So regardless of whether or not we can find meat at a reasonable price, we still have an obligation to purchase meat and support our mobile pantry program as part of our strategic goals. In the interest of transparency, we put that meat up on the shopping list as an option because, I mean, we didn't want you to see, when the mobile pantry truck rolls out through town and you see those whole chickens going out, we didn't want to give the idea that we're just holding product back that's unavailable to you. The unfortunate reality is that $106 price point, that's exactly what we paid for each case of that meat. So how purchase product works is, we generally are able to go to our regular suppliers, put in a request for a certain amount of poundage at a certain price, see if it gets accepted, rejected. Things that have been different this year are, unfortunately, we're having to bid against a lot of other organizations that happen to have a lot more money than we do, and the bidding there is just jacking up the prices for each load. So again, we're having trouble finding that at a reasonable price for our pantry partners, but we still have to support that mobile pantry there. Let's see what's next down here.
So hopefully that helps and answers some of the questions, because I know we both got a ton of calls when that chicken came out and everyone was like, certainly there's an error. And I'm like, I wish that were true. Obviously USDA meat comes in at a lower price when we get those commodities versus having to purchase it. And we do pass along at the exact purchase price we purchase it at. They don't increase that at all. So just keep praying that gets better and there's more sources that come open to us.
We'll explain a little bit more about that. I think question either 5 or 6 goes into that somewhat as well.
So we'll keep going down the list. The next one asks, when should we take our civil rights test? Everybody loves civil rights, don't they? I know I do. Not, but is it a necessity? Yes. So my best answer to you, when should we take our civil rights test, is October to January. Any other time during the year, I wouldn't recommend it. I know we have a lot of pantries that for 100 years said, well, we do this every month in May, every year in the month of May. Well, that doesn't help, because then you get that update from us that says, hey, could y'all do your civil rights? So the best time is when you turn in your updates. October, November, December, January is the best time to do your civil rights every year, to include that in your update.
An unfortunate bit of background on that is that because we're partnered not only with Feeding America, Texas Department of Agriculture, U.S. Department of Agriculture, each of those organizations have their own operational calendar. We have our own operational calendar. So the only way to get it all to line up and to get everybody to be fully in compliance with each of those organizations in terms of civil rights is to get it between October and January. At the very least, we have 3 out of 4 of those bases covered, and that's something that we can justify should there be any sort of conflict there with having everybody up to date on the civil rights. October to January is just the easiest.
And something else about that to help us stay in compliance, your civil rights are good for only 1 year. So all of us, even everyone that works at the food bank, every single person here has to take civil rights once a year. So the good news is you only have to send 3 into us. your director, your food program contact, and the backup to that. So we just need 3 uh, certificates. But the other side of that is you have to put your other civil rights of all the volunteers that are working with clients into a folder. In case you do get audited or monitored, you're able to pull it out and go, here you go, what else? So that's always good.
Yeah, so anybody who's client facing, make sure you have their civil rights test on file at your organization with the rest of your files, obviously. We just need the 3 people who you've designated as your executive director, primary and secondary contacts. All right, let's see what's
You're
next.
up, Adam.
Okay, another question. When will we see more variety come back to the shopping list? We've heard this one a lot, especially in the past few weeks. So again, a little bit of background on the subject. Donated and TFAP products, which tend to be our most varied kind of food, make up just shy of half the food that we distribute in total. Unfortunately, these sources are both limited and unpredictable as far as availability goes. So when we purchase food to supplement this, we do our best to try and maintain a certain level of variety and options as well. However, during the pandemic, we did start receiving a much larger quantity and variety of food items than we normally would in the form of trade mitigation. And what trade mitigation is, it's when producers and suppliers of food and food goods, both natural, processed, what have you, cannot ship these products to market, whether internationally or domestically. USDA buys them up wholesale and then distributes them to food banks. So we benefited quite a bit from trade mitigation throughout the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. So unfortunately, as trade mitigation has come to an end, we kind of hit a double whammy because that started pulling back majorly right as we were going into what we would consider the thin season for our USDA allotment. So USDA's fiscal calendar runs from October to September. So the closer you get to September, the fewer and fewer loads of that USDA product, meat, dry goods, produce included, starts to run out. Now, we are hopeful that as we get into October and beyond, we should start seeing more of the same staple dry goods, cold storage items, dried packaged goods that you can normally expect. However, it's not likely that we're going to see the same level of abundance that we did during the height of the pandemic. It's unlikely that we'll see that kind of abundance anytime in the near future, unfortunately, but we should still come back up to our historic levels pre-pandemic. I think I've answered that thoroughly. Do you have anything to add there, Irene?
No, that was a lot. That was a mouthful, wasn't it?
I mean,
but it's true. It's all
it's
true. It's sad, those were some good roasts that we got. First time we'd gotten big bulk meat like that in years and years.
Mhm.
It's unfortunate, that has come to an end.
It was honestly serene, not serene, it was honestly surreal working in the warehouse as we started moving into the pandemic, because I got to see working in the freezer there. We always had ground beef chubs, we always kept chicken leg quarters, we tried to keep a breakfast option available, maybe sausage patties or something. But then when COVID hit, we started getting donations from Opa's, Tyson Meats. We got so many different varieties of sausage, pork chops, fish items, not only fresh, but also processed fish sticks, or I think we still have some catfish nuggets that I don't think were a part of trade mitigation. That may have been something that we purchased in order to supplement. But it was absolutely insane seeing the difference between the pre-pandemic, especially in our freezers, and at the height. And yeah, I'm not surprised that we have dropped down so much as we have, but we should start seeing some alleviation here once we get through October.
I can honestly say in the 15 years, we've never had meat like that, where we could fill your freezers and you could fill the client's freezers. That was a blessing. And we never knew when that was going to run out. All good things must come to an end, but that was really special when we had that and we could do that, fill the freezers so you could pass it on to clients. So we have to figure out more sources, we've got to find more sources out there to try to get these things. So our next question came
Ooh,
in.
this is good.
Why are we seeing more mobile pantries pop up in our areas? And we are attempting to offer something in areas and times when there are few agencies available to support the community, especially the working poor. So, we've got the map, the meal gap, and we've got counties that are still kind of what we say
We
are
consider them red.
red, and y'all have heard this for years before. There's red, yellow, green, etc. And that changes as they do the map, the meal gap. So in some of those areas, we've gotten money that we've been able to set aside as a food bank to purchase some meat or canned goods or things to get out at a mobile pantry. And, some of our areas, Adam and I have maybe one
pantry holding up the entire place, or
Exactly.
at least one pantry that's associated with the East Texas Food Bank, which we can, track and keep the information from that. So it's going to be places like that, like Morris County, for instance, where there may be one or two, maybe three organizations there, but
in reality,
due to the population and the level of poverty in the area, there are still a significant amount of meals being missed out on. So it's all targeted based on where we see the most gap in meals served and in the oh Lord, what's the word? It's all targeted based on Feeding America projections for where the meal gap is going to be the highest. So yeah, we know you see some of those rolling out in areas where we may have a pantry available, but it's strictly because based on the data and the numbers that we collect from you all and the households that you report to us that show that despite the great work that you're doing, there is still more work to be done. And right now, while we have some resources available, we're trying to expand and serve those areas better while we can.
Right. In some of our areas, some of our pantries are only open once a month. Once a month for a 2-hour window is not enough time for everyone who works or seniors to get out and get food. So we've had to pick areas that we had least amount of service or where the times weren't covered, kind of like Adam said, to bring in a mobile pantry.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it here in our notes, but I want to say last time we got reports back from Feeding America, based on the numbers that we were currently reporting for this past year, in order to completely close the meal gap, we would need every single one of our partners in every single county to increase their service by 35%. So we understand you guys are volunteers. A lot of you are seniors or retirees. And it would probably be unfair for us to say, start cracking the whip on you and drive those numbers up 35%. So it really, at the end of the day, while we have the resources available, it's easier for us to try and supplement and work alongside you in order to hit that marker, or at the very least, reduce that gap. Let's see.
Produce.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
No one has a question about produce. My phone doesn't ring about produce at all. How about you?
Oh, Lord. Yeah, no, absolutely no questions on produce. So why are we seeing a shortage of produce at the moment? Tying this back into the food prices and as well as, how we source food specifically, our produce stock has been affected by a lot of the same issues that have affected our dry and frozen goods. With the supply chain globally broken down, though we are starting to see some improvements there, it has made it very difficult to source produce in the same ways that we have been able to historically. We're always going to see less as we get to the end of our USDA allotment, which is kind of where we are right now. The next allotment period begins in October. So just like with those dry and cooler items, we should start seeing more poundage and more variety come in. In the meantime, Andrew and the operations team are trying to source more produce from historically disadvantaged producers. These are going to be smaller local farmers and smaller local farmers and producers. Unfortunately, trying to source enough supplemental produce from those individuals can be difficult, and it has been a slow process, but we are starting to see those quantities increase back. And we're hoping that by maybe mid to late October, we at the very least see a return to normalization, even if we aren't going to get back to that cresting high point that we were at about 6 months ago.
And the other thing that I might add about produce is, yes, sometimes we get it donated. A lot of times we have to purchase it.
Yeah.
And the beauty to me about the entire produce program is we still give it out absolutely free. So I'm really excited about that and proud that no cost is associated with getting produce in any form or fashion. And, you know, if you're an agency that picks up and you see that there's 4 agencies out there, maybe don't take all 10 pallets, leave some, you know, for someone else. The motto is take what you can give out and leave the rest for another pantry. You know, as we get to the end of our fiscal year with our money, when we budget so much for the produce, it's just like our bank account. At some point during the month, it starts running low and running out. And it's the same thing for the fiscal year for the produce. So thank you for your patience with that. And hopefully, like Adam said, we'll be able to source it in other avenues. And it does look better going into 2023. So
I mean, we're right there with you. We know it's been hard to come by. We know that stocks have been thin. We are taking measures on our end to try and better budget, not only for our strict produce partners who, you know, that's all they do. That's their bread and butter. They either receive a load and immediately give it out, or, you know, they may receive because they are a pantry partner, but then have a separate produce distribution. So in trying to make sure that we can still support all of those, we have made some budgetary changes in order to hold more back for our pickup partners and in order to help sustain all of our produce partners while we are experiencing this shortage. But yes, mid to end of October, we should start seeing those USDA loads begin to come in regularly. Let's see what's
so
next. Oh,
we
hey.
just want to remind y'all too, while we're going down the questions that came in, I've noticed some are coming through the chat. Continue to, you know, put your questions in there. We will have a day that we'll sit down and we'll go through and we'll make sure that we get these answered and the people, you know, get the answers that they're asking. So that is one thing about Adam and I. We want to be as transparent as possible in answering questions and helping you. So next question that came in: when are reports due? Some months we get calls asking for reports to come in, and others we don't. Why? So as a rule, the reports are due the last day of your distribution by the end of the month. We have agencies that are open once a month, like on the 10th day. They have plenty of time to get their report in before the end of the month. As a rule, we say your reports are due by the end of the month, and you have up to 3 days to get it into us. And one of the reasons being, it was 5 days and we changed it because we have to go chasing reports the first week of the month, every month, and nothing's changed. It's been this way from the beginning. But let me let you in on a little reports due. Let me let you in on a little secret. The reports that we get at the end of the month, when they come in, Adam then compiles those numbers and puts a report together, which goes to USDA. So, if the report's not in and we have to turn in zeros, they decide the allotment of food that we're going to get. So it's very helpful to have those numbers in by the end of the month so that ours are in by the 5th of the next month.
Yeah, so boiling it down, yeah, the more people you serve, the more food we get on our USDA allotment the next year. So if you're going 1 or 2, maybe 3 months at a time without reporting numbers, or, life gets in the way a lot of the times. But if we keep having zeros in our reports when we send those off to the USDA, what that tells them is either A, we're not serving people, or B, we're not being good stewards of that food. And that directly limits the amount of food that we get on our allotment for the next year. So we had a lot of questions about when are we going to see more variety? When are we going to see more food? If that's something that you're really passionate about, please get us your numbers in as reasonable as a time frame as possible. Like Irene said, we have a 3-day grace period at the end of the month to get those into us. I will always do my best to send a reminder on the 1st. And I know you've all seen that email at least once at some point. I promise I'm not mad or anything. I just want to make sure that you guys are aware. That way, when we get those numbers in, we can send them off, and hopefully we see more food coming through, because the need grows every day. And that's not just East Texas, that's all over the nation. So the more numbers we turn in, the more food we're going to get, and the better we'll be able to help support you all.
Adam, this is Karen. You're talking about the stuff well, we have a soup kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
And I send it to both you and Charles every month.
Yeah, we both get that one.
You get that one because I want to cover it, make sure. And you're also talking about inputting in your clients too, correct?
Yes, and Oasis Insight. Specifically
Okay,
the pantry numbers, yeah.
Yeah, because we try really hard to do it the day of, but
oh yeah, no, it's
because we have paper copies that we then input our numbers in as soon as we get done, or we try to, depending on what's going on in life. But I just wanted to make sure, clarify that's what you are talking about.
Yes, we're talking about inputting your client assistance and Oasis Insight.
Okay, thank you.
And produce drops.
Yes, okay, so produce drops is going to be slightly different. Produce drops, those reports need to be in, so according to the produce MOU that all of our produce partners sign, those reports need to be in 5 days after the produce distribution. We've given a lot of grace on that the past year or so, but it really does help us if you get it into us as soon as possible. So please, if you can, 5 days after your distribution. It's really inconvenient when we get in a lot of reports. Here's our first, second, third, and fourth week, and it's 3 days into the next month. So please, produce partners, if you can, get those to us at 5 days, 1 business week after your distributions.
And to be
I had a
complete,
excuse me.
go ahead.
We never send in any reports. We just, whatever comes from the charity tracker is our numbers. Is there something we're supposed to do beyond that?
No. So for pantry services, all it is inputting your assistance into Oasis Insight Charity Tracker.
Thank you. I started to panic. I thought we've never sent a report. Okay, thank you.
Good question. That's the beauty of Oasis Insight. You put the data in, we pull the report at the end of the month, and you don't have to do anything. So good question. I'm sure other people are thinking that, but we do want to keep our allotment that we're given from USDA up. So it's important that people are filling it in and not taking zeros for numbers of people served per month. And when we sitting on the committee that grades the grants, it's important for you to be an agency that gets your monthly reports in on time, because that's kind of one of the grading questions on there, is about if your reports are in on time or if we have to chase them every month, because it's time consuming to do that.
To give a little background on that, the grading factor there is reliability. So if when they go to committee and they pull up and they see on the reports that we have to prepare every month that you've missed 2 or 3 times this year or 3 times in a row, that it does look bad. It does affect the grant scoring. So keep that in mind as well. We have about 4 minutes and we still have a couple of pre-submitted questions. So we're going to try and speed through these, and maybe we can go 5 minutes into that little break.
How about I jump to this one and then you jump to that one?
Absolutely.
Right?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, here's a big one. What is going on with the bulk chicken? Do we have options to use this if we received it? I bet you thought we wouldn't answer that. But we're gonna. So it is a good question. And so for a bit of explanation, this meat was received with a bill of lading describing the load as cases with 10 individually packages of 4 to 5 pounds apiece. Having received it as such, it was not until we started receiving phone calls from our agencies who received this meat that we found out it was not individual packages, but instead one whole package of bulk frozen meat. We know that our partners can't make good use of this product as it cannot be broken down and spread out to a higher number of clients or patrons. And therefore the entire box would have to go to one family. They would break it down themselves at home. We have some partners under the assumption that they can break down bulk meat food like this because they have a food manager's license. Nothing is further from the truth. There are 2 separate licenses required to repack bulk meat. The food bank doesn't have it, and none of our agencies have it. This is from the meat safety assurance license, and the second is from the health department. So, and this particular group of chicken was not from USDA. It was donated product. So it had a little shared maintenance assigned with it. So if you're, for instance, a soup kitchen or a senior meal site, you could make good use of this box of chicken because you could thaw it out and cook it. As for a food pantry, your options are giving one whole box per family or donating this to a local soup kitchen, homeless shelter, crisis center, senior meal site, or another nonprofit serving meals to those in need. To be clear, this product is not TFAP or USDA, and that is the only reason that we have the option to share it with entities outside of our network. So finally, we normally do not take product that has already been accepted by our partners due to the extenuating circumstance, but we are accepting this product back at our warehouse facility and issuing credits back to your account for the price of the chicken if you're one of those partners who has received this product and you want to return it. Please get in contact with Greg Joyce, our logistics manager. We'll put it over in the chat for you and try and help you with that transaction if need be. But we did get a lot of phone calls, and you know, for all the years, you know, we've said you can't break down bulk product. It's not because we don't want you to be able to go buy a 50-pound bag of beans or rice at Sam's and break it down and give it to more people. It's because the health department won't let us.
And here's the thing, they have their ways of finding out. I mean, we do too, unfortunately, and what it boils down to is if you are breaking down any kind of bulk product at your facility that number one hasn't been signed off on by the USDA and number two does not have those 2 certifications, you can and will be forced to shut down. And because of your association with us, we could as well. So I want to be perfectly clear. It's not because we do not want you to be able to serve your clients better. It's strictly a stewardship issue, because we don't want anybody turned off. We don't want anybody shut down. You all serve too many people. You are all too important to your communities to allow something like that to happen. So yes, if you can, share it with somebody. If you can't, like she said, we normally don't take this back, but in this circumstance, yeah, we'll credit it back to your account. If you need to, please get in contact with Greg Joyce. Our logistics manager will be putting his contact information in the chat here. Real quick, let me touch on this last prepared question. Why are you putting resource centers in places like Tyler? And have you considered how this will affect the pantries currently there? Very reasonable question. So we want to kind of quell any concerns that you may have here. So the East Texas Food Bank is a vital link in the Feeding Texas and Feeding America chain. Because of that, we use the same metrics that these organizations use to find out where we need to give the greatest amount of support. Map the Meal Gap currently shows currently every partner and program, including Backpack Kids Cafe, after school program, senior box, child hunger, they'd all need to serve there it is. They'd all need to serve 30% or 34% more people across the board in Smith County in order to counter the amount of food insecurity we're seeing here. And this is in our home city. This is where the food bank proper is. So that's a 34% increase that we would need to see before we're coming close to hitting that meal gap. So the cost and strain that this would put on our partners here, and especially the volunteer corps, would be, at least in our opinion, too much to ask. So we wanted to offer a supplemental option to be available at times when your pantries here are not open. So, these are times like weekends, afternoons, especially evening hours when the working poor can access. So in the time until we have this operational, we are dedicated to making sure that none of our partners here will see any loss of resources or a dip in their service numbers when this center opens.
It may still be open during some of their hours.
Yeah, we can't.
We're trying to fulfill evening and weekend, like while the working poor or the working moms are working, to where they can come and get
Yeah, absolutely.
another source than just the pantries.
We're putting that schedule together in order to complement and supplement the things that you're already doing, not to take away from your efforts here. And yeah, we are doing our best to make sure that there is as little overlap in those service times as possible.
Okay, I have a question.
Okay.
This is Karen again. I know a lot of the food pantries within Smith County are only Smith County. Are the mobile pantries the same way?
So mobile pantry, produce, those two types of distributions don't have a service area. They're open to the general public. There are no income requirements. There's no data collection going on. So
Okay.
anybody, if you're driving through Wood County and you see the food bank truck pull up and start unloading food, you can go to that. If you're visiting family in Texarkana and you see that mobile pantry setting up, you're perfectly welcome to come participate. So yeah, there's no limiting factors on those distributions.
Okay, I
Hey,
just thought
Adam.
I would ask.
Yeah, Charles.
Let me piggyback off of that, because there's another concern that some people may have that we may have missed, and I'll shoot it real quick. A lot of the resources, financial support, items that are available through things like mobile pantry and through our resource centers, these are funded by specific grants and donations given specifically for that. And the items that are acquired through that are gotten exclusively for that. So for instance, if we got produce sent to us by the Department of Agriculture specifically for a mobile pantry, which is a Feeding America initiative, then that is resources and produce that we can only use for that. So it's not taking away from any of our partner agencies.
Do
Real,
we want to put that in the chat?
what is it?
Do we want to put this in the chat since we're close to being finished?
You want to put what in the chat?
This information about the announcements and things. We wanted to give
Oh,
you.
yeah, sure.
one-
We'll just touch on it real quick.
Okay. So we're kind of at the end of the questions. Since it's almost time to close, we wanted to tell you a few things. We might go over a couple of minutes, but again, you've got our emails and things. If you still have questions or you still have things you want to find out about, we wanted to let you know one announcement is we generally have agency orientation. We used to have it every other month. That is for new directors that come in, new food program contacts that come in, for people who want to be trained on ordering, because we sometimes show them tricks that they didn't know. If they've been taught from someone else, we talk about Oasis Insight, and we do a small bridges training. If you have a volunteer who's not being really nice to people, this is a good opportunity to send them to a training where hopefully we can give them a swift kick in the pants. And no, I'm kidding. And we can give them a small training at agency orientation that helps them to kind of understand the people that we're seeing and what's going on.
That's
Is it Tuesday?
yes, that's gonna be Tuesday, November 8th, at the food bank proper, 9:30 to 3:30. That'll be at our new volunteer center. We also have the new subject matter experts page up on our website. Charles, if you'd link them to that. If you are interested in being a subject matter expert, please let us know. We are always looking for people who have varied or different points of view and experiences with these. So please let us know. The TFAP application, there is a slight change. I know we've been sending out emails on that. So we just want to let you know, yes, it is true that first signature has been taken off. However, we still have to get the ROI signature on the back page, as well as the signature from a CE or from the site staff certifying that food has been given and that assistance was received.
So again, you can request but not require the signature there on our TFAP app that we have right now.
Yes.
So just so y'all know that.
We've had people ask what happens or what to do if you get your order and something is missing or something was mispulled. We have an order error report form up on the website. It's under the partner agencies and agency resources tab. Finally, this is kind of in the infancy period right now.
They have 24 hours to.
Oh, yes. As far as the order error report form, you have 24 hours after accepting a load of food in order to dispute anything on it. So please be breaking those pallets down and checking. Finally, there is one thing that we want to bring to your attention. A lot of people have asked about specific items over the years, and we've done our best to try and bring those items in, but we are going to be formalizing the process soon for agencies to request specific item types for the food bank. We're working with Andrew and Ops to get this set up. The details haven't been hammered out just yet, but what it's going to look like will be, we'll have a form open where our agencies can request items, specific items that they're looking for. If we get, say 10 agencies asking for the same item, then we know we have enough people who want these things that we can buy a whole truckload of it and stock it here at the food bank. We can't do one-offs, unfortunately, because space is tight at the moment. We can't have anything that's going to sit and just take up space and not move out. But that is something coming down the line. Real quick, I did see somebody in the chat ask, is there an option for non-food items, toothpaste, deodorant, soaps, shampoos? We have that stuff on the shopping list right now. You may not always see it because it's not something that everybody goes looking for, but these items are available. We always keep deodorant, soap, toothpaste, razors. We occasionally have shampoo, body wash, conditioner. So just look, just search those terms on the shopping list. We do tend to have them available, and some of our pantries do make use of that. So I think we're getting close. Yeah, no, we're over time now. So if there's anything else that you need answered or any other questions, please reach out to your representatives directly. We're more than happy to answer your questions at any time that we're here. So just send them to us. And Irene, do you have anything else for them?
I want to thank them for their participation. Karen, thank you for posting in the chat that some companies will match the hours of volunteers, for example, Exxon. So thank y'all for posting in the chat. Anything that would help anyone, do come back this afternoon. The keynote speaker is incredible. Wow, yeah. We do not want you to miss that. So please come back. We're going to give out all our money at the after lunch. So come back for that session. Yeah, first grant giveaway begins at 1 o'clock, the second at 1:50. So make sure you don't all miss that. And have a good lunch. I think that's it. See y'all soon.